Internet. It is I, Daswolfen, your lone wolf elder geek, and welcome to my random stream of randomness. We have a few topics we're going to discuss today, and I've got my controller finished, so that's going to mean more classic arcade games at the end of the stream. So hopefully you'll stick around for that. So let's get into things first. Yeah, first off, let's say goodbye to Kevin Conroy. We lost him this weekend, this Friday. As you know, he was the voice of Batman, and for a lot of us, he was the Batman. And none of the other voice actors come close. I guess there are a few, but yeah, so we'll discuss him. And I realized I forgot to say hello to everybody in the chat. I apologize. For some reason, I'm a little nervous today. Don't know why. But hello to Martina Costa Santana. If you are around Pop Culture Minefield at all, you know he's the rock of Pop Culture Minefield. Except for that, Palmy's Minion, who does these. Who's just a really awesome person, and has the cutest sidekick, Simi, her truck dog, which is just adorable. So, anyway, so going back to Kevin Conroy, there's, I kind of want to discuss, besides his Batman, because everybody, in our sphere, they're going to discuss Batman. But he had a lot of other roles. He was in a lot of other series. They may not have been starring roles, but he had a career stretching back to 1978. That was his first appearance, first movie. But yeah, so we'll go through his IMDb and look at some of the series and shows he was on, and go from there. Then I want to talk about my mini review of Wakanda Forever, since that was this past weekend. Yes, I did go see it. I had a interesting time, and I'll explain that once I get there. And then there's some other pop culture moves. There's stuff about Tom Holland and James Gunn. Hey, Kingsport Cal. Hey, is that better? I just realized I forgot to move my mic over. It's been off to the side this whole time. If it wasn't for small things, I'd have nothing going on, I guess. So anyway, as I was saying, we've got something to report about James Gunn and Tom Holland and Bob Chapek talking about Disney. And hello, Anima Confusa, Kingsport Cal. And then we're going to talk about the tech layoffs, and then we'll get into some classic gaming. So we'll just kick this thing off right now with now this is the IMDb for Kevin Conroy. Scroll all the way up. Look at all this. He's had quite a storied career, but if we go down here to where he started in 1978, his first movie was a TV movie called How to Pick Up Girls, which had Desi Arnaz Jr. in it, and Abe Vigoda, Richard Dawson. So it had some He was just a bartender in it, but still. He did a lot of. He started out doing a lot of soap operas. He was in Another World in 80 to 81. He had some other movies and TV series. He did, like, he was in Matlock. He was in Spencer for Hire. He was in Tour of Duty for 12 episodes. He was in Murphy Brown. He had a series called Rachel Gunn RN, which was short-lived, only lasted for 13 episodes. And we get done with that, or that's when he hit on his voice acting with Batman the Animated Series. And of course, Mask of the Phantasm. He was also in The Office for 6 episodes. But as you can see, we've got Batman movies and Batman video games. And other video games like Crusaders of Might and Magic, Dax and Jexter, Max Payne 2, Lords of EverQuest. He was in Static Shock, of course, as Bruce Wayne. And then he goes, you go into all this stuff. He was in Ben 10, all the Batman Arkham games. He was in, he's the voice of Batman on DC Online. DC Universe Online. He was the voice of Batman for Injustice. And he got, apparently he was in Yoga Hosers. I think he was in, wasn't he in, did I miss it? I thought he was in another one of his movies. Nope, I guess not. I thought he was in one of what's his face? Kevin Smith's movies, but I guess not. He was in Venture Brothers. I completely missed that one. I must have missed that. Now, of course, Injustice 2, where he voiced Batman again. He got to play live. He finally got to play live action Bruce Wayne on the CW Arrowverse when they had their Crisis on Infinite Earths, where he played the old broken down Batman from I think he was supposed to be the one from Kingdom Come. And he does the voice for Multiverses, and he was apparently in the digital or the CGI He-Man and Masters of the Universe series as Hodak, which is his last thing listed he does. So yeah, I mean, for geeks, this was a big, big loss. And, I don't know about you, but when I read anything Batman, comics, the prose novels, whatever, Kevin Conroy is always the voice of Batman. Just like Mark Hamill is always the voice of the Joker. And it's just, there's some people that's iconic in their roles. Just, and it whether it's animated or it's live action. And, for example, Robert Downey Jr. will always be Iron Man. Even if they recast him, they'll never get another one as good as him. And even though this is the voice, well, Kingsport Cal, it's more than just the voice. It's his acting, because he's the only Batman actor to ever do both Bruce Wayne and Batman well. Usually an actor does one or the other. The closest that anybody comes in live action is, believe it or not, Ben Affleck. He does well as both Bruce Wayne and as Batman, but he's not as good as Conroy's Bruce Wayne or Batman. And, it's just... There's just some people, like I said, some people are iconic, and when we lose them, it's hard, Exactly. Same here. He's my Batman. Even though it came out when I was in my 20s. Of course, before that it was Adam West and then Michael Keaton. So, yeah, exactly. Jackman will always be Wolverine, regardless of who else plays him, because he was so good at that role. William Shatner will always be Captain Kirk, as much as Chris Pine wants to be. Just because that's his role. So, but to go from sadness at losing someone so big in our sphere of fandom to even more darkness. Although I will admit, I'm gonna be fair about this. Talk about Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever did open with 180 million, with 300. I think it's 333 million. Yeah, 333 million global, which is not bad. But when you consider that the budget for the movie is 250 million, and the rule of thumb is, in order to be profitable, is about 2.8%, 2.8 times. So let's see. Let's do a little math, shall we? So that's oops. I got my controller in front of me, so it's hard for me to type on the keyboard. So that's about 700 million it needs to make worldwide, or it needs to clear. And the problem with the worldwide box office is they only get about the studios only get about 35% of that, and they only get about 55% of the box office from domestic, because the theaters to get their take, the distributors get their take, all that. Although since they own a distributor, that's not so much an issue. That'll come back. But yeah, so there's people that take their cuts in that distribution chain for those movies. So you're looking at around 700 million in order for it to break even. That's going to be 700 million worldwide. So it's a little over halfway there, but you got to realize it's going to drop off, and this weekend will tell how much drop off it's going to have. If it's in the 40s or 50s or even the low 60s, it'll have a good chance at making it. If it's in the low 40s, you might be looking at a $1 billion movie. But chances are it's going to be in the mid to upper 60s as it drops off, and that won't quite make it to the 700 million it needs to make to break even. But it did surprise me. I didn't expect it, based on my experience with it. of it gonna make it. I mean, it's the um when I went on Thursday, and there were only about 20 people there. Now, granted, this was Thursday at 4 o'clock, so it's not like Fridays at 4 o'clock where the kids are out of school and they're all there. So I didn't expect a full theater, but I expected more. So, but when I went on Thursday, I had to leave early because there was a problem with um the projector. It was stuck partially in 3D mode, and the whole if it, stuff in the foreground was fine, stuff in the background was all shimmering, and it was hard to watch. So they eventually brought us out 3D glasses and started the movie over, and I got to see total about 20 minutes of it at that point. And what I'd seen at that point wasn't that bad. I didn't have a problem with anything really. Um, so I ended up leaving, and then I came back on Friday because they gave a bunch of us left. I don't know how many stayed, but there was a line for people saying, hey, I want a refund or whatever. I just took the pass because it was easier, because I want to go see it, because I've seen every Marvel movie opening weekend. I even saw Eternals, even though I know Eternals was going to be bad. I still saw it. So I went to this. I wanted to give it a chance, see if it could surprise me. And in some places it did. So I come back Friday. There's maybe 15 people here, and I'm at the 4 o'clock show. And here in town at the 4 o'clock show, because it's after school's let out, there is usually at least half full with teenagers on Fridays. And there just wasn't that many people there. But that's neither here nor there. Let me talk about the movie. It had, I think, the way that they initially, there was a problem initially that I have, and that is the way there's going to be some spoilers, but they're going to be minor. Because we know that they're going to kill off, that Black Panther's going to be killed off. That because of the loss of Chadwick Boseman. It's the way they chose to do it. He died of a virus of some kind. And it starts out with Shuri trying to save him, and they go into after she fails, you go into the funeral. The funeral is great. I mean, it's this this traditional African style funeral with the dancing, and it's nice. I mean, it's enjoyable. And there, there's a big mural of Chadwick Boseman as King T'Challa, and it's a nice send off. And then there's a nice scene with the Queen. I forgot her character's name, but Angela Bassett, who pretty much carries the movie as far as I'm concerned. She's just the rock of the movie. Every scene she's in, exactly, Kingsport Cal, it's a celebration. Every scene she's in, she owns. But so I don't want to go into details about it, but the UN calls her on the carpet, because calls Wakanda on the carpet, because they're not giving away stuff. They're not holding up what they claim was their end of the bargain about letting the world have vibranium. And at the same time that she's in this meeting, they're showing where the Dora Milaje have stopped these mercenaries from breaking into one of their outreach centers to steal vibranium. And it turns out that one of the countries on the UN Security Council was behind these mercenaries to get this vibranium. And she says basically, we don't trust you with vibranium because it is so dangerous. And she said, if you guys don't, we'll take this as, this is your warning. We're not gonna, any other attempts is going to be treated as active aggression. And then they go on, and then she leaves. But yeah, there's this, that's the first 20 minutes or so of the movie. And like I said, that's fine. Then they start getting into the Riri Williams stuff, and at first I'm like, okay, this isn't so bad. I'm not a big fan of Riri Williams. Just because they Mary Sue her a little much. But basically, so there's this whole plot with the U.S. has this vibranium detector that they're looking for vibranium in the ocean. They find it. The ship that's got the divers and everything. Everybody gets wiped out. They blame the Wakandans. It's not the Wakandans, it's Atlanteans. And you got the whole, that's where we go into the Namor thing. But there's a bunch of stuff goes on. But in a nutshell, I don't like what they've done with Namor, because Namor, first of all, they call him Namor because that is what apparently the Spanish called him back in the 1500s when he's from, because he was originally a Mayan. Is he Mayan? Yeah, Mayan. It's the son of a Mayan woman that basically, if you listen to if you want to hear a good rant on this, listen to Mexican Iron Man. He goes into details. But basically, it's the way that this group of Mayans escape, and they end up changed and go into the ocean, and they become what are called I forgot the name. It's not Atlantean, but it's Atlantean. I mean, they just don't call it that. It's another name, but that's what it would have been. I mean, they've got all the trademarks of the Atlantean people. But I'm not. If they would have not called him Namor, if he would have been someone else, I think it would have been better. But because they took this iconic character and changed him so much, and it's not the fact about him being played by an Hispanic actor. That's not an issue. He could have been played by the Hispanic actor and still been Namor from Atlantis, and no big deal. It's just when they completely changed the whole background, so he's now this child of this this slaughtered and oppressed people, that gives it a whole darker bend that Namor didn't need, because he already had reasons to hate the surface world. Yeah, I don't want to go into a lot of details, but yeah, the whole thing about the plant, they discover a plant that grows underwater, that grows on the vibranium, that basically turns their skin blue, and they breathe water. It alters their DNA. because they took it as a cure because they all had smallpox from the Spanish, the conquistadors. So basically, and Namor is a child. His mother drinks this medicine, and she becomes one of those. But his DNA is altered. He's also a mutant, and he actually calls himself a mutant in the movie. So this is the first official mention of being a mutant. Yeah, that's entirely possible. Although technically, even though in the movies Aquaman came out first, in the comics Namor predates Aquaman because he was one of the earliest of the Marvel superheroes. With him, and you've got Human Torch, which Jim Hammond, which was a robot, not an android. It wasn't Johnny Storm. It was a robot at that time. And then you had Captain America, obviously, and they were part of a team called the Invaders. And anyway, so that's background on the comics. So to go back to this, there's obviously beef between, he comes to Wakanda and says, hey, we're, or sorry, back up. Riri Williams made this machine. So Wakanda wants to bring her in and protect her, and, so that, and guide her in Wakanda. The Atlanteans want to kill her so nobody finds the vibranium, which leads to, I keep calling them Atlanteans, but Namor's people's lands, their area. So there's this big fight. They're trying to kill him. It's killer. There's this whole thing. So Namor goes to the Queen and basically says, yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, I was gonna get to that, but he said basically, give us the girl and help us against the surface world, because you don't care about the surface world either. You guys have been isolated, for as long as you've been around too. And of course, they don't go for that. And so they attack, they attack Wakanda. Wakanda's tore up. As a refugee, they go up, and all the survivors from Wakanda go to the mountains with the mountain ape tribe under M'Baka, so that they're away from the water and everything. So, and during this, Shuri has figured out that how to make an artificial version of the heart-shaped herb. She had been taken when they had attacked Riri Williams to capture her before they attacked Wakanda, and where Namor tries to deal with her and convince her to join their cause, but he gives her a bracelet that's made from the plant that created them. She uses the fibers from that with the stuff she has from the heart shaped herb and DNA from T'Challa to recreate the heart shaped herb. So she becomes, as you've seen in the trailer, she becomes the new Black Panther, and she fights Namor, and it's just this whole thing. Um, so yeah, it's okay. It's I honestly would put it a hair above Eternals. It's not. As an MCU movie, it's a hair above Eternals. If it wasn't an MCU movie, I would like it a little better, I think. Um, but yeah, it had some good moments. It had some fun. I'm a big fan of Okoye, so she gets some good moments. Shuri isn't annoying. The big problem with this is there are some messages that perhaps aren't equal. I don't want to come out, I don't want to say one way. I mean, I'll leave that for you guys to decide if you watch it. But I don't think that the messaging behind a lot of the movie is very healthy for society, in my opinion. Um, it it just is divisive. And if you want to find out what I mean, go look up Mexican Iron Man's rant. It is a rant. He was rather hot about it because it does treat. There is some issues about how it treats the Mexican people, um, and how it treats males in general. But like I said, overall, we'll get to the end of this. Is it's not a completely horrible movie. It's not the absolute worst MCU movie. It's definitely at the bottom though. In my opinion, Eternals was worse. I think Thor: The Dark World might have been worse than this. I might have enjoyed this a little more than I enjoyed Thor, because Thor: The Dark World is boring as heck. So anyway, so that's what I have to say about Wakanda. And on to some James Gunn news. As you know, James Gunn wants is basically him and Peter Salzar are in charge of the DCU now, or the DC universe now, the DC Studios. Hey, Real Wade Nation, thanks for joining. So anyway, James Gunn. We know he likes the weird stuff, and there's always and it's been discussed in Pop Culture Minefield that Metal Men would be a good project for James Gunn to take. And lo and behold, here's this article from Geekosity magazine. Mikey Sutton. It's by Edwin Francisco, not Mikey Sutton, but yeah, James Gunn did tease Batmite and the Middlemen both in the DCEU, which I think would be cool. If you don't know who Batmite is another fifth dimensional being like Mr. Mxyzptlk from Superman, except he's a big Batman fanboy. So yeah, so it's along those lines. And the Metal Men are a group of robots that are made of each type of metal. So you've got iron, silver, platinum, mercury, Gold. And they all have abilities based, that different abilities kind of inspired by those things, like Mercury's quick, because Quicksilver. Um, so yeah, but I think it would be it'd be interesting. I've always kind of liked the Metal Men. It's they're obscure comic. They haven't had a whole lot of series. They're not like as big as the Doom Patrol was, because Doom Patrol was huge and has been huge at several points in the DC Comics universe. So yeah, but I think it will. It will. As okay, here we go. There's their abilities here. It says gold can stretch, iron is strong, lead can block radiation, mercury can melt, and platinum and tin can stretch and flatten them, because platinum and tin are soft. Um, but yeah, so they're they're, like I said, they're obscure, but I like them. And this, Batmites, I knew he'd been around in the '60s, but I didn't realize he first showed up in '59. So that's a long time. That's an old character that deserves to have at least an appearance. So yeah, and I think James Gunn would be perfect for that, because that's his style for movies he's going to do. Now, keep in mind, he's not going to do that for the rest of his time, as because he's only got 4 years. But he's not going to do that for the rest of his time in charge of the DC studios. He's going to be greenlighting stuff that fits with an overall vision that Zaslav approves of. Hey, Jeebus, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the stream. So, yeah, we just got done talking about James Gunn, and the next thing we're going to discuss, also by Edwin Francisco, apparently Tom Holland's going to show up in the Daredevil Born Again series. Which makes sense, because they're all street, he's technically a street level hero, uh, like Daredevil and Luke Cage and Iron Fist and all the others of they don't have like the flashy superpowers. They're not Iron Man. They're not the X-Men. They're not so they're fall under what is called the street level heroes. And I think that it'll be cool, because supposedly Tom Holland signed a deal for 6 projects, which would be 4, 5, and 6. Daredevil Born Again, King Dynasty, and Secret Wars. Which would completely. Yeah, Moon Knight was supposed to be street level. They completely mucked up Moon Knight. We'll not go into Moon Knight, because I did like some of the things that happened during the Moon Knight series, but overall, I was, it was not Moon Knight. I don't know what they were trying to do, but they didn't do it. Or they may have been doing what they tried to do, but they didn't do Moon Knight. In fact, the only Disney Plus series that Marvel Disney Plus series, in my opinion, that are worth it is Ms. Marvel. They did really well with that series. It shocked me. I didn't think I was going to like it, and I enjoyed it. And Werewolf by Night. I absolutely love Werewolf by Night. And I'm hoping Werewolf by Night is going to help set up the Midnight Suns. Yeah, that's the problem. We're just we're in the stuff now that was filmed during COVID. So there wasn't a lot of movies filmed during COVID. So we're in a drought. But next year is when we start actually getting to movie outside of the COVID range. And we'll start having, I think, next year things will pick up. But yeah, it's going to be, because I think the next big movie is Avatar 2. And I'm like, I'm going to go see it, but I'm going to go on the $5 matinee. I'm not going to worry about going to see an opening weekend. I'll go see it like that Tuesday for the $5 Tuesday. But yeah, so the other thing I wanted to report is that because of the Q4 financial report for Disney, Bob Chapek is going to be cutting a lot of stuff. He's going to go. I hope he goes David Zaslav, but I doubt he's going to go David Zaslav. As much as Disney needs to get treated the same way that they're fixing things at Warner Brothers. They need to get rid of the woke stuff. They need to get rid of exactly, Roy. That's about Avatar 2. That's correct. If they would have came out 5 years ago, maybe it would have been better. And even James Cameron has said, maybe I'm not going to make 4 or 7 or whatever his initial number of Avatar movies was going to be. And so I think he realizes that if 2 doesn't do well, then 3 will probably be the last one, because they're filming 3 now. So at least it's, But anyway, so go back to this. So yeah, and it's not, Walt Disney is not the only company that is having financial issues and needs to make changes. The tech sector is having a bunch of layoffs. Meta, which Facebook, is laying off 10,000 people. Amazon is laying off 10,000 corporate staff. Twitter, Twitter's laid off a ton since Elon Musk has bought it. Not only did he cut the 3,700 initially, apparently about 4,000. There's another 4,000 that just chose not to come back or got laid off because they didn't want to come back into the offices, because he had stated that if you want to work here, you're going to be in the office. And of course, he got a lot of, he even fired somebody over because of what he says. Okay, I don't understand that, Martine. You'll have to explain that. Your headsets become dangerously close to a paperweight? But yeah, so Redfin, Zillow, Lyft, Stripe, GoFundMe, they're all having layoffs. And I don't know if you remember in 2007 or 2000 or not, or 2000, I guess 2001, they had the huge tech bubble that collapsed, .com bubble. And that was horrible. So if that's what's going on now, this is going to be this is going to be what this article, this is Washington Post, and take what Washington Post says with a grain of salt. Um, oh yeah, well you'll still be able to play like Steam games and stuff, Martine. Oh, you got the Quest. You've got the one that's not connected to the PC, don't you? Yeah, that might be an issue. I don't think Meta's. Meta's not gonna. I don't think Facebook's gonna fall. They're gonna contract. Uh, they're realizing their metaverse isn't going to um, be a thing. They missed that boat. Okay, as long as it connects to PC, you'll still be able to play games and stuff on it. You should be able. You should be fine there. But I don't. It's not gonna. It's not gonna go completely out because that would mean the end of the company because the lawsuits and stuff would just tear it apart. But yeah. So basically, what this opinion is. Yeah, and okay, if it needs to authenticate, then that would be an issue. But I'm not sure that they would shut that off even if they shut down their metaverse, their 3D, you know, virtual reality world. Um, yeah, and remember, Facebook has Instagram. There would Real Wade Nation. If they completely just shut off, Facebook and they went out, they or um, not so much Facebook, but they shut off the authentication servers for devices that people have paid for. There have been other lawsuits for companies that have done that. But yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. If they cut that off, then there'll probably be a class action lawsuit against them, which would whatever damage they had already had would make it much worse. And Martine, yes, there is a tech sector bleed out, and very few people are talking about it, and that's what I'm bringing up is because of um, inflation. Inflation's made the dollar worse, although it's being artificially propped up right now. But that's an argument for another time. Yeah, tech sector's gonna. It's the bubble's gonna. I think we're in for a bubble burst in 2023, where we'll find that a lot of these tech companies are, especially the smaller ones, are going to go bust. Yeah, crypto hurt them, and this whole thing with FXT or what FTX. Yeah, it just proves what a scam crypto was. Now, I admit I did own crypto. I owned Dogecoin, but that's just because I was getting at the time when we were buying, because I own AMC stock, just because of not much AMC stock. I don't own that many shares, but uh, when that whole thing was going on about the small investors versus the people that wanted to short it, AMC and GameStop, and so the small investors all came in and propped it up. So I was part of that whole thing on Reddit, and I bought some shares then to help out with that, but and that's when I bought my Dogecoin. Dogecoin isn't worth anything. It was never worth anything. I think the most it went up to was like 90 cents. Crypto itself is, I don't know. It's just it's based on a mirage, and I think that's, we're coming to the end of that mirage, and I don't think crypto in 5 years we won't be talking about crypto anymore. It'll be completely gone. Because you've got people like Tom Brady and his ex-wife. They had invested in FTX. They dumped all their stuff into it to try and leverage, thinking they were going to make a bunch of money. And there we go. So anyway, well, that is, I can't believe I've gone on for 50 minutes about all this stuff and haven't done any gaming. So just to show you, this is my new controller that I built. Yeah, but that's a different crypto, Martine. That's the cool crypto. That's Superman's dog crypto, not some obscure algorithm blockchain based metacurrency. Yeah, probably. If he can play, if he's, well, I think he should have retired, but he'll continue to play as long as he can. He'll be fine. He has endorsements and stuff. But yeah, so this is my arcade controller. Well, I'll explain that. I've got, obviously the white joystick and the black joystick are player 2 and player 1, with the 8-button controllers for fighting games, the various fighting games. The gray joystick up top on the left side is a 4-way joystick for games like Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and a lot of the older games. That round thing beside the 2 buttons is a spinner, but it's a special spinner. It's a push-pull spinner, which means it also has, I can pull on it or push on it like a button. Yeah, that's I've got a trackball. That's for playing games like Centipede, Millipede, Missile Command, all that. And then the big blue joystick is obviously for Tron. But I mean, it works for games like Zaxxon and Gradius and stuff like that. Afterburner. Although I'm not sure, I haven't played Afterburner on this yet, so I'm not sure how I control thrust yet. I'll have to investigate that. But yeah, so that's my controller. And this is my arcade games. I will start. I've got all the way back to games from 1971. All these various games: Pong, Sprint 2, Seawolf, Minesweeper. There's Sprint 4, which was a 4-player version of Sprint. Superbug. But 78 is, if you've seen my episode of arcade games, 78 was the first year of the golden age of arcade, because that's the year that Space Invaders came out. And then the next year we had Asteroids, Lunar Lander. I think I've missed something important. What else came at 78? 79. Well, there's Space Invaders Part 2, but I seem to be missing something. I thought that was... That's Pac-Mania. Pac-Man was 80. Okay. I was thinking it was 79, but I'm mistaken. I'm old. I'm able to Yeah, that's fine. If you want to invest in an arcade machine, I would go with something like a Legends machine from like Sam's Club. Arcade One Up, yes, they're fine for home use, but they're just not very hardy. I mean, you don't have high end controllers in it. So yeah, if you are not going to be if you're not going to if you're not going to build your own, uh, yeah, those are fine as long as you're not going to be doing like hours of gaming at a time. Otherwise, they won't stand up, and you want to get something um, a little more robust. Purchase something like that, or um, what is it? I forgot how to. I forgot what. Anyway, so let's see. Best Buy just had. They just have. Yeah, they just have the that. But if we go look for Legends, Legends Ultimate, you can get them at Sam's Club. As I said, they got a bunch of games built in. You can also download games. That's more. It's a lot harder than the arcade one ups are. Yeah, the NFL Blitz. I mean that's if the problem with those is they're just that's just the NFL Blitz game. You're getting basically a single game, just like the new one they just came out, which is the Killer Instinct Professional, which is instead of being 3/4. And keep in mind, the arcade one ups are 3/4 size. They're not full size arcade cabinets. But yeah, Legends is a good one. I think it's like, is it 500? Yeah, 599. I think it's a little cheaper at Sam's Club. I thought it was like 4.99 at Sam's Club, but um, you can also get digital pinball machines too. But there's several companies that make an arcade cabinet. Um, there's Dream Arcade. There's Stream. Game Room Solutions makes one. In fact, Game Room Solutions is where I bought mine from. Yeah, if you want multiple games, go to Legends, unless you want to do that. Now, if you go. See, they have, pre-built, they've got. Depending on what layout you want. they've got one pre-built, ready to go. You can get artwork added to it. But this is where I bought my controller. I bought my the base controller. I bought my just the arcade control panel from them. Obviously without any wrap because I didn't want this whole thing. But yeah, and then I put it together myself. But you can order it. You can buy it fully built if you want a control panel like I am. If you want full size cabinet. This is the you can get a completely built with the monitor, everything already figured. All you have to do is add the games to it. But it's you can set your button controller, what color you want your molding, what kind of buttons you want, whether you want a trackball, whether you want coin door. They'll already give you the Raspberry Pi. Then all you have to do is download the games, which might take a little thing. That's the way these are built. You generally either have to get the games or some of them come with games. But if you don't want anything, you just want to plug and play. Legends has more. Has your own a bigger selection of games that you can actually buy. You can subscribe. You can get basically you subscribe, and they've got all these other games you can download. So yeah, so that's one way to do that. And you've got like more games. So if you want something that's more robust than arcade one-ups, that's fine. If you've got kids, then arcade one-up's fine. It's 3/4 size. It's not full size. That's the reason why I don't have one. I'm actually trying to buy one. They have a arcade one-up has something they call a partycade. And let's see. No, that's where did they get rid of the partycades now? I think they did. That's going to make it even harder to find it. Anyway, this is just an example. The one I want is it's basically you can mount it on your wall, and it's a little thin thing. I want to put it in my bedroom. But the one I want is the Defender 40th anniversary because it has Joust, it has Gauntlet, it has Rampage, it has some of my favorites. It's got Paperboy, it's got Tubin, it's got some classic games. But they only made it for a short amount of time, and it's really hard to find one. You can't even find them on eBay. So I'm trying to track one of those down. But yeah, so anyway, shall I give this gaming thing a try real quick for a little bit? Let's see. 78, 79, 80. Where is it? Or I could just do this. What do I want to play? Oh, I know. Okay. Okay, for some reason, Joust isn't playing. Hey, War Monkey. How's it going? Oops. Well, and that's Rampage. It's another favorite of mine. All right, well, I would play Tron Railway Nation, but there is an issue with my Tron joystick. I need to take it over to my brother-in-law's and make the hole bigger because it's too tight to play with.
Well done. Treasure 100 points.
Oh, I missed the key. Dang it.
Save keys to open doors. Save potions for later use.
Oh, it's been a long time since I played this. I was playing with this wrong joystick. I was doing the four-way. Come on. Oh, I hit. Dang, I didn't want to hit the button. Yeah, I used to spend. This is now. Keep in mind, this was the '80s. I used to spend ridiculous amounts of money on this game. I didn't want to exit.
The demon.
Dang it. And this is why you take either the elf or the Valkyrie.
Remember, don't shoot food.
That wasn't
I've not seen such bravery.
that wasn't food, that was poison. Anyway, so yeah, I just realized I've been going for an hour and a half, so I'm going to call it here. So thank you all for joining us, and I will be back next week with different games and different news. And so hopefully you can join me, and you all have a good day.